Hi, I'm Natalie Miller with SAP Insider, and we are here at the SEM, CRM, and IoT event in Las Vegas. And I'm joined today by Mike Wittenstein, who is the founder and lead experience designer at Storyminers. Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Natalie. Thanks for having me. My very first SAP event.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
Thanks.
If you want to start by just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I have a background that goes all the way back to the last millennium. I worked as an e-visionary for IBM after selling a digital agency, one of the first ones in the country. While I was at IBM, we worked on a whole bunch of new ideas. Everybody does in tech, but the ones that I worked on had to do more with people. I started 3 practices. One was about helping enterprises to become more agile by changing the way they organize themselves on the inside without using org charts or pyramid charts. And the other one was about understanding how to design the total customer experience, not just the digital part. Both of those topics have become passions of mine ever since. And in 2002, we started Storyminers to help retailers, service companies, and B2B companies deliver better experiences to their customers, which turn into better stories. That's where the name came from.
Great. So in line with that, here at the event, we're talking about digital transformation. How do you talk to your customers about that, and how is that sort of changing the game for them?
Sure. Well, there are 2 conversations that go on in digital transformation. One is the one that the companies have in and amongst themselves. And you know what? No matter how big the challenge is, or how hard it is, or how much tech it requires, customers don't pay any attention to digital transformation. It is not an issue for them at all. Customers want what all the other brands that they love do to work with the brands that they choose.
So how do you help customers sort of walk them through that process in terms of their own business?
Well, the thing that Storyminers adds as a design thinking kind of agency is show them the way the customers see them. It's common in business because of the way we've been trained and what our parents and grandparents in business have done to look at the customer and to think that we're designing for the perfect customer or we know what's best. We use some very experiential techniques like taking people on tours in front of the store, behind the store, any kind of business. We do a special type of service prototyping. We have very engaging and emotionally engaging experiences for the clients to understand how the customers work. We also bring the customer into the scenario. So bottom line is, we show the company how the customer sees them. Then the trick is to correlate between those expectations that the customer has and the capabilities that the company can create. And that's the really interesting part. Because while so many of the people I've spoken with here at the event think, oh, digital transformation is big, and then they start to imagine it as this giant weight on their shoulders, personally, like, I'm going to have to change so much. The cool side of digital transformation is that you can get rid of a lot of the things that you're doing that you don't need to do anymore. And to give people a really clear picture of what that is, we've got some really fun techniques. One of them is called human prototyping. Another one is the 3D journey map that shows people, like, here's what's happening at the customer level, here's what's happening at the promises inside of the company that keep the brand intact level, here's some of the tech, here's some of the governance, and we show everybody that whole stack. So just like you have a technology stack, you can have a design stack for the business and for the experience, and show how the parts interconnect. And if I can go on one more second?
Sure.
It's also possible, through good conversation, to show what the value for the customer will be. And we always talk about value of the customer, like how much money can we take out of their pocket? Well, as a business or as an SAP client, how much value can you put back into the customer equation? Looking at that stack diagram that shows all the different ways, not all of them, but several different ways of thinking at the same time, you can start to see the interconnects and start to understand what your friends in this department need and what the customer needs, and you start to make more systemically good decisions. It's been my experience that the more you can see the big picture, the less work you have to do and the lower the cost. It actually takes that giant bubble and makes it a little bit more manageable.
Okay, great. And in terms of implementing these type of things, how can SAP customers sort of work through that and make sure that their design is adoptable by their employees?
I believe in 2 things. One is making sure that there's a shared context inside the organization, shared language, shared understanding around goals, visibility into each other's parts of the operation. I've recommended the creation of customer rooms, kind of like a war room, but with a friendly spin, where all the cool new things are talked about, depicted, 3D visualized and all that. The other thing that you can do is give people the opportunity to see how that new experience is going to look. You can do rapid service prototyping. We do it with actors, directors, and experienced designers. Put everybody on stage except the clients. The clients get to watch from the safety of the sofa or the theater seats, and they get a chance to see how their ideas are playing out. Instead of doing a scrum in a week, we can do a service prototyping scrum in 5 minutes or several of them in an hour. And it gives people a chance to see what that future state will really be like. And then people can respond to it and say, I like this, I don't like that, what about this part of the decision? And you're looking at the whole thing instead of just a technical flow diagram. It really brings it to life, and it helps people, it reduces fear, and it opens up people's aperture for change, makes it easier for them.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing these insights today, Mike. I really appreciate it, and I think it's going to help SAP customers really set themselves up for success.
Thanks for the opportunity,
Thanks for being
Natalie.
here.
Okay.
Again, this is Natalie Miller with SAP Insider, and we've been speaking with Mike Wittenstein of Storyminers.